The summer transfer window is here. Always very exciting. It's the gap that bridges us to the beginning of a new European season, and there's activity everywhere. They call it the silly season, and for good reason. And I've never seen it sillier for American players than I've seen it right now. It seems like everybody is involved in some sort of transfer rumor, or they've already made their move. We had this growing group of American players make their move to Europe, and then they started playing for the top clubs, and now they are moving clubs because no one's satisfied, and it's very exciting. So here on the Soccer OG, we're going to go through the very long list of players that could be moving or already have moved. Check out the Soccer OG podcast, currently available. My trip to Europe, documented as I go from 5 different cities, including in Hamburg, where all I got was this flippin' St. Pauli shirt. Yeah, I went down to the Reeperbahn, and I had fun on the Reeperbahn. Not that much fun, okay? Not that much fun. Fun in the sense that I bought a shirt and had a couple of bratwurst. That's about it. And a frosty cold beer, but that was it. And like and subscribe us here on YouTube. We're going to have a lot of exciting shows coming on. Because of vacation, I wasn't here as regularly, and I apologize. I should be here every week for you. All right, let's get cracking on this. Let's start with guys who've already made the move. Brenden Aaronson, a whopping reported $30 million move from Red Bull Salzburg to Leeds United. We talked about Jesse Marsch keeping Leeds United promoted and what it meant, and I told you here that it could bring a revival of American players to Leeds and make it an American-looking club. And it's begun with Brenden Aaronson. There might be some more Americans following suit, and we will talk about them here shortly. But there's also guys like Valentin Castellanos who have American connection with Leeds who are reported there as well. Brenden Aaronson, I'm very confident that he will be a success at Leeds. He seems like the perfect Leeds player. When you watch them play, these guys are just nonstop. That's Brenden Aaronson. And he has exceeded expectations everywhere he has gone, and he's done it at a record pace. So I am super comfortable that Brenden Aaronson is going to be a hit up in Yorkshire. They're going to love him there at Leeds United. And we'll see what happens with the Jesse Marsch connection moving forward, because you got to keep tabs of this. Because, yeah, if these American players go there and they do well, great. If they go there and Leeds gets relegated, not great. And guess who's going to face the brunt of it? The Americans. Their manager and these American players. But we'll see if that continues. But this seemed like a good fit. It's a situation of Jesse Marsch using his contacts at a former club he was at to get this guy. And they paid more than I think the valuation. I don't think anywhere you'll see that Brenden Aaronson is valued at $30 million. But so be it. Matt Turner. Gone to Arsenal. He's done the photo shoots. There they are. 28 years of age, moving from the New England Revolution. We knew about this for some time. It's a long-term deal. Aaron Ramsdale and Bernd Leno are there, so he'll be competing for the number 1 shirt, although he's not going to be wearing the number 1 shirt. I like Turner's chances of winning the number 1 spot better than Zach Steffens, because Ederson is another level. Ramsdale's a great keeper, and in all likelihood will be the starter. But Matt Turner, you don't underestimate this guy. He has, he's had a rocket ship on his back since he really figured out this was a profession he wanted to follow. And I know, as we'll talk about the goalkeepers here, because every goalkeeper in the national team system seems to be rumored to be making a move. But Matt Turner at Arsenal, no loan move here. He's just arrived there. He should soak it all in, even if he is not the starter. This is his first season there. I think it would be crazy if he goes in there and goes, all right, I need to get games. Send me out on a loan move. Mikel Arteta speaks very highly of him, and I'm excited for him to get in those practices and immersed in that club, and hopefully he gets enough games. But don't rule out the chance where he impresses enough, because he has impressed us here in the U.S., not just with his shot stopping, but his long ball distribution. Not so much playing out of the back, but those other 2 aspects, which Arsenal holds very, very dearly. Zach Steffen said he wants out. He wants a loan out of Manchester City. Some of it, I feel like, just go for it. Just tell him to make a permanent move. This loan, I get it. And it's important for Zach Stefan we need one of these goalkeepers to get games. And maybe Zach Stefan can get it. But where? We saw him at an Inter Miami game. I know people would freak out if he comes back to Major League Soccer. He has a German connection, Freiburg, and then Fortuna Dusseldorf, where he did have a loan. So that makes sense. But he's been there and done that. Stefan Ortega, coming in from Arminia Bielefeld to Manchester City, indicates that Stefan's days as a number 2 seem numbered. Didn't have a great run in the games that he played. I think he's had a remarkable experience at Manchester City. That is an experience you can't take away from him, and very few have gone through that. It's great, but it is time to move on. But I think picking the right club is key. Now, if it is an MLS team, we've got to remember the important part here is that he's getting games. But you would like to see him at a mid-table club, maybe in England, although we're not hearing anything about that. We haven't really heard anything about anywhere where he might go. But I'd like him to stay in Europe. I'd like him to stay in Europe and see if he can get some games, and perhaps the Bundesliga is the best bet. But that is going to happen because he said he wants it, and it looks like Man City have found their backup goalkeeper. Ethan Horvath. Great news around Horvath, right? Great news. Nottingham Forest promoted. He's going to the Premier League. Brice Samba, the number 1, he's really good, goalkeeper out of the Congo, will not sign a new contract. We all go, Horvath's going to be a starting goalkeeper in the Premier League. Not so fast. Not so fast. They get Dean Henderson on loan. And all indicators that Dean Henderson's going to be the guy. Ethan Horvath has to look for a new team. You could say stay there. Maybe what happens behind Samba last year happens again, where he gets a chance to compete for the number 1 shirt, and he gets a chance to get some games. But when the Samba moves happens and they immediately come into Dean Henderson, that tells you that they don't rate Ethan Horvath highly enough for the job. It's disappointing because you'd like to see him get the chance, but the last images of Ethan Horvath was an absolute horror show against El Salvador. I know it's one play, but it's still a little bit troubling. I don't think his confidence is at an all-time high. We need to build it back up. And I don't think that's going to be at Nottingham Forest. Again, it was a good run for him there. But like Zach Stefan, it has to be a move. And maybe it's to a lower league. He had that experience in Belgium. There has been some rumblings about MLS. I think it was Atlanta United. That wouldn't be terrible. See, I wouldn't want to see Zach Stefan come to MLS, but Ethan Horvath hasn't experienced that. So why not come and give it a shot and make some good money along the way and get minutes, because he'll be competing for that 3rd spot with the national team. Sean Johnson, who, by the way, had a rough one this weekend too, seems to be the other candidate. And it may come down to who plays the much, because I think it's fair to say if all these goalkeepers aren't playing, Greg Berhalter is going to have to say, I need somebody who's got games, who's getting games. So that will bode well for Sean Johnson and probably not so well for Ethan Horvath. Gaga Slonina, the Wonder Boy, who's starting to play better with the Chicago Fire. Getting his bearings, looking like the beast of a goalkeeper that he is, which is drawing so much attention. There's been attention from Chelsea. There's been attention for Real Madrid. And it would appear he's going to go to a massive club and again be a backup. But I think there would be an immediate loan move for him if one of those clubs. They're moving in to secure one of the more talented goalkeepers under the age of 19 in the world. And that is Gaga Slonina. Now, this is good news because these are clubs where, his profile will grow and maybe eventually he plays for them. But it won't be now. But that move seems to be in the works as well, especially when you have both these clubs, and who knows if there's some others that come in. So all these goalkeepers, Turner, Stefan, Horvath, Slonina, could all be with different clubs here at the back end of 2022. Now let us move to the field players, and this is an incredible list of players. It begins with Christian Pulisic. I've said for some time that he should move out of Chelsea. He did have some good spells there with the club. I think his numbers started 13 games, 6 goals, 1,200 minutes, 7 Champions League games. He had those 2 goals against Lille. It's a solid season. Certainly from his injury-plagued years, it's a step in the right direction. The problem with Christian Pulisic, all this talk of Chelsea adding players. Neymar, Raheem Sterling at the top of the list. That seems like it's only a matter of time before it's going to happen. And Raheem Sterling is just a better player than Christian Pulisic. Look, I have Christian Pulisic's back, but Raheem Sterling, the 2019-20 season with Man City, was playing the best soccer maybe for any player anywhere at the time. He was that good. He is an elite player. This is not an English narrative coming from me. I've just seen enough from Raheem Sterling where I've been blown away. Not taking anything away from Christian Pulisic, who's a very special player, and I think he's better than Kai Havertz, and I think he's better than Timo Werner. But Raheem Sterling is going to be a different kettle of fish. So where does he go? Now, he is tied up with these potential moves to Juventus. And the Juventus one has a lot of baggage because part of it is that Chelsea wants to get Matthias de Ligt. And they want to pair a transfer fee along with Christian Pulisic or Timo Werner. And that's what has to be how it works out. I think Juventus, which is a real interesting case because it seems like they're moving everybody. They're going to have a complete metamorphosis of a season. That Christian Pulisic would be a nice fit there. Remember, Paulo Dybala's gone, so there are some places where he can play. He'll have Vlahovic in front of him, beautiful striker. There were some other options. Liverpool came and went. That seems to be off the table. By the way, Ousmane Dembele rumored to be going to Chelsea. It's tricky to see where these options might be. Perhaps going back to Dortmund. Juventus seems like the best bet. He has to want it because, remember, with new U.S. ownership and Todd Boehly, they will want to keep that American investment. It makes a lot of sense for them, but not as a luxury player. And we need Christian Pulisic playing heading into the World Cup. I talk about Juventus, Weston McKennie. There were those rumors to Tottenham Hotspur. And again, it seems like everyone is on the move at Juventus. There has been, I think, Yves Bissouma perhaps going to Spurs, which will quell the interest for Weston McKennie, who has a $45 million price tag. Very rich right now if you want to move for someone coming off an injury. I think he stays at Juventus. And, man, imagine him and Pulisic together. That would be absolutely exciting. The one guy with the most chatter recently has been Tyler Adams. And it looks like, didn't have a great year at Red Bull Leipzig, not certainly compared to what he did in previous years. There's also a Red Bull Salzburg prospect, Mohamed Kamara, who represents Mali, who's also in the mix here. Leeds United would be the club now. There was interest from Sevilla and Benfica, but that interest has quelled. Calvin Phillips, who is one of the best midfielders in the Premier League, looks like he's going to Manchester City, which opens the doors for Tyler Adams, who has a relationship with Jesse Marsch going back to the New York Red Bulls. It all makes a lot of sense, but this would be a huge spot for Adams. And it may be too big of one right now because, A, replacing Calvin Phillips, playing in this Leeds setup which plays a certain way, that's going to be a lot of pressure. And I think Tyler can handle it, but it doesn't add up to the season he just had. I think it's good for Leeds because you can save some money with Adams replacing Calvin Phillips, and you can spend that money elsewhere. Remember, they're going to lose Rafinha, so they'll have some money. It looks like Rafinha to Barcelona, I believe. So I think it's a great move, and if it happens, Tyler Adams has got to jump in. But I worry a little bit about the fit. And it seems like Leeds should have some more options there, which they don't. And Calvin Phillips is a very special player. Tim Weah, oops, sorry about that. Tim Weah, let's go through some other guys. He's had a good finish to the season with Lille. There was a talk of a loan move to Valencia. He's valued around $10 to $15 million right now, which is pretty exciting. There is talk about him going to Milan and following in his dad's footsteps. Milan has just won the Serie A Scudetto. There's a lot of excitement around that club. How does Tim Weah fit in? He's going to have to deal with some superstars to try and get that playing time. Tim Weah has excelled on the national team. He has really grown into that role and had a good enough finish to Lille to give that a little more energy to it. Sevilla, Milan, Valencia, the loan move where he could get together with Yunus Musa. That's exciting, where we can pair off these American internationals. I'm okay with Tim Weah. He has, I think, 2 seasons left at Lille. I'm okay with him staying there and taking a bigger role. Remember, Jonathan David's going to move. And Tim Weah could become a more important figure there. So I'm okay with him staying there. Although I do like the Valencia move. Chris Richards, going back to Bayern, could be back to Hoffenheim. But now there's talks that he could pivot for Bayern, who have set a price tag around $15 million for Richards, which is a nice price tag for a central defender with such a high ceiling. So this is going to be an interesting one. He has to get minutes because, to me, Chris Richards should be in the starting 11 for the U.S. I think it'd be Richards and Walker Zimmerman would be the ideal choice at this moment. There has been rumors from Crystal Palace. Patrick Vieira's caught ear and eye of Richards and feels like he could get into that spot. That would be tremendous. If that arises, go young man. Go down there to Palace to Selhurst Park. Cameron Carter's vicar confirmed to Celtic. Serginho Dest being shopped around, $25 million price tag. I don't think anyone's going to go for that. I think it's smart for Barcelona to grow with him. He has shown enough good signs. Let Dest stay there. Gianluca Busio has a relegation release clause, maybe on his way out of Venezia. I'm okay with him staying there, but if something better comes up, although his trajectory is heading in the wrong way. Josh Sargent, there is some interest from the Premier League for him to come back up, although I think this is a great spot right now for him to be with Norwich in the Championship with a lot of other Americans like Daryl Dike and build what they can do in that league where they are featured players. I'm very excited for Josh Sargent this season, even though he is not in the top flight. He is a guy who can get back into this national team setup if he gets playing time, if he scores goals. So Sargent's a guy we got to keep an eye on. I don't know where else to go with this. Kobe Henry to Stade Reims. Luca Della Torre, it looks like he's moving from Heracles, has 1 year left on that deal there. Who are the guys that might come in to Europe from Major League Soccer? Look at the fullbacks. John Tolkien, DeJuan Jones, Georgi Mihalovic, Cade Cowell, Jordan Pefok. Rumors that Dortmund and Mönchengladbach, the two Borussias, are interested. Brian Reynolds. I mean, this is ridiculous. I'd like 5 pages of transfers. They're not all going to happen, but some of them will. So enjoy the silly season, American fans, because it's never been this silly before. Check out the Soccer OG podcast. We'll see you next time.